And now let's meet another challenger. Will you enter and sign it, please? Shelley, you can uncover
this thing. I kind of like it now.
And we have Stephanie Goldner, is it?
That's right.
Steffi and Anna Kaloff, is that right? You can look, Shelley. Now, would you be good enough to tell us, each of you, where you're from?
New York.
New York. You're both from New York. May I present our panel, then? And now, would you join me over here? Do you know how... Let me go in first, since we have to share these two seats, as it were. Do you know how we keep score?
Yes.
All righty. If you know how we keep score, we'll let the audience in the theater and folks at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Miss Kaloff and Mrs. Goldner are salaried and they deal in a service. And let's begin the general questioning with Rita Gam.
Is this service used by both men and women?
Yes. Yes.
Is this, it was salaried, so it can't be a non-profit organization. I'm sort of new, so I'm still trying to find how to ask the questions. Is this service done in a place where people come to you?
Yes. Yes.
Would both I and my husband enjoy the service?
Yes. Yes.
Would it make us feel better?
We hope so.
Then I feel... Would you touch people doing this?
No.
No. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Goldner and Kilgallen, do people come to you in search of help of some kind?
No.
No. 2 down and 8 to go, Arlene Francis.
You work indoors in a building other than an office building?
Yes.
Are you in a building other than a department store?
Yes. Yes.
Do you work in a place that gives some sort of... I'll take all that back. Do you work in a place where there are other people doing the same job that you are doing?
Yes.
Are there a lot of people doing what you are doing? By that I mean more than 10.
Yes.
Do the people that come to you give you anything?
No. No.
No. And I'm very reluctant to do this because we have 2 very attractive guests, but we have run out of time, and I want enough time to make sure that you understand exactly what Miss Kaloff and Mrs. Goldner do. They are both fine musicians, and they're with the orchestra at My Fair Lady, and have been those who's many years.
And we thought to puzzle you with it. I wish we'd had more time, and thank you both for being our guests. Very nice to see you. Did you say good night to me?
Let me say good night to Miss Dorothy, and we hope you're back with us next Sunday. And say very quickly, Bennett, have a wonderful vacation. We hope you have a grand 3 weeks in Florida and Puerto Rico. Debbie Reynolds will be with us next week, but don't let that bother you. And good night, Arlene.
Good night, Dorothy. Good night, Shelley.
Good night. And good night, Rita.
Good night, Shelley. Good night, Bennett.
You're a good publicist's wife, Rita. Good night, John.
Good night, Bennett. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. What's My Line? What's My Line? Brought to you by Kellogg's, the folks who bring the best to you each morning. A wide choice of cereals in the forms you like best. Yours from Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now, let's meet our award-winning panel of What's My Line? First, the well-known producer and actor, Mr. Martin Gabel.
Now we have the pleasure of the company of a girl who's just finished co-starring with Fred Astaire in the new movie, The Pleasure of His Company, Miss Debbie Reynolds.
I'm happy to introduce to you a young man we're soon going to have the pleasure of voting for his fine award, Academy Award-winning performance, Mr. Tony Perkins.
Please tune in to the U.S. Steel Hour on Wednesday evening to see one of the prettiest and nicest people in show business, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now, while Bennett is sunning himself, I have the sunny job of introducing perhaps the most gracious and knowledgeable man in our business, Mr. John Daly.
I must fully agree that Bennett is somewhere sunning himself, but I do hope he listened tonight and heard the gracious introduction I got. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure you at home will forgive me if I do say to a very full theater that we think all of you are very courageous and brave to be with us tonight, and welcome. Nice to have you here. We'll try to puzzle the panel with occupations which are interesting and have been brought to the theater by some very nice folks. And we will also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the program, and we'll meet our first challenger after this